to the Mekong ASEAN Environmental Week, Environment, Democracy, Livelihood, and the Regional Interconnection. This is the second day already of this event. We have the session in connecting to the morning sessions. Now we will have the panel on. So in the afternoon for the second day of this event, this panel will be in continuation of the morning session. The panel is on from foreign direct investment to large-scale destructive projects, what and whom we are facing. We have the moderator, Assistant Professor Dr. Naruemon Thabchumpon, Deputy Director for Research Affairs, Institute of Asian Studies, Chulalongkorn University. Thank you very much. So everyone needs to wear face shield. You may look strange, but it's okay. If just so for this panel, we have Myint Zaw on the screen. Myint Zaw is now in Myanmar. He cannot come in to Thailand. Beside Myint Zaw, we have 3 panelists. May I invite Kun Yingcheep Atchanont, Kun Witoon Permpongsacharoen, and Kun Ormbun Thipsuna. So we have face shields and microphone for you. So please wear the face shield. So we follow the rules strictly, although the government has not abolished the emergency decree yet. So I would like to introduce to you briefly for the first panelist, who is Myint Zaw. Myint Zaw graduated from ANU, Australia, and he is the one who worked on dams in Naruemon River. He will be discussing about the environmental issues in Myanmar, and Myanmar is about to have the election. So I would like him to connect his issue to the election and also to connect to the point which will be raised by Yingcheep, if you remember from the television yesterday. And today he will talk about life, environment, and politics. So we will see how the politics and environment are connected. And next is Kun Ormbun in the middle of the panelists. He is the second female panelist. She will be the second person to talk. And so she will talk about the missing food from the Mekong River, which is very interesting. So the third one who will close this panel, who is Witoon Permpongsacharoen. He has been working on this issue for a long time. He will talk about politics of regional energy impact and trend. So without further ado, I would like to start with Kun Myint Zaw. Myint Zaw, please start your presentation.
Hello everyone, greeting from Yangon, Myanmar. Today I'm going to talk about Myitsone Dam campaign and concern over Chinese investment, which is intensifying even under the pandemic situation in Myanmar. I'm going to talk about these two related issues. First, I will talk about Myitsone Dam campaign. For those who did not know that campaign is that the Myitsone Dam and related issue. Myitsone is a crucial watershed area of the Yangtze River, where Chinese investment plan to build a mega dam in that crucial watershed area. So the people of Myanmar protest against that, if even under the military regime, and that's suspended in 2011. So from 2011 up until now, almost a decade, that's still suspended. So this is kind of a rare success of civil society in Myanmar, and I guess environmental movement globally. So I'm going to talk first about that Myitsone and why that's significant. And the Myitsone, of course, is a Chinese investment, and other Chinese investment inside the country that we worry about for their negative impact. So I will try to discuss that investment issue in second part of my presentation. So first about Myitsone. When we talk about crucial main river of Myanmar, this is a crucial waterway, and that this is a lifeblood of our country, that is Yingcheep River. Myitsone literally is confluence, two rivers from the north, which go all the way to Himalaya. These two rivers come together and form a Yingcheep River in northern part of Myanmar. So this is the birthplace of a river, and a river is a birthplace of a civilization. So that much significant for us on this river. So, but I am not only talking about, when I talk about Myitsone, when I talk about Yingcheep River, I'm not only talking about the nationally important river. This is the globally important river, because this is one of the last free-flowing rivers globally. Fortunately, not only Irrawaddy, we also got Selwyn River, and both Selwyn and Irrawaddy River, they both are designated as a free-flowing river, quite rare in the current situation globally. So this is globally important, globally valuable rivers of Myanmar. So for us, because it's nationally important, and also this is kind of national pride as a important ecological feature, as a free-flowing river. That's why we are so passionate to defend these free-flowing rivers exist in Myanmar. So not only Irrawaddy, but also Selwyn, and also another main tributaries to Yingcheep River is Chendrin. You will see a map on the right, in all these dark blue river that are flowing across Myanmar. So this is our ecological heritage. This is what we value very much. So when we hear about Myitsone in around 2000, the 2008, 9, we are restless, because we cannot let that loss in for short term in the ecological benefit. We want to maintain that for generations. So that's why we are kind of, many people in our country can identify with that river. Many people in one way or another support this campaign, because this is nationally significant. And also, but the this is a picture of that two river confluence. You will see the picture the two river coming together, and then the single river stretch. That's Irrawaddy. So I'm trying to show that this area, because from that point up to the foothill of Himalaya, this is what they call nationally important, regionally significant, and globally outstanding area. This is an area that huge the amount of biodiversity intact exists, and also that's the intact forest stayed there. And again, this is a crucial watershed area for the Irrawaddy River. So this is our struggle to protect river. To protect river, but you need to protect watershed. So our struggle is not only to protest against one big dam, but also to preserve that critical watershed area, because critical watershed area also under threat that I will show you in this picture. So what we talk about Myitsone is that confluence area, but the initial plan is to build a cascade of dam in the two river area, what we call in Myanmar two river triangle area. So there's several dams along these two rivers in very important watershed area of Irrawaddy. So if they move ahead, and if they build them, one river will be river on the right will be totally under control of the flood control, the flow control regime of all these cascade of dams, and river in the left, that will be kind of half of the river area will be under control of that cascade of another cascade of dam. So in total, this is huge. The several big dams to build, and it's a large scale, and it's going to have a huge impact, devastating impact to the river and the community downstream, and also people living in upstream, because in the up there's the indigenous people, local people are living there, and their livelihood, their community, their kind of ecological. That's right. So as I said, that's a Myitsone Dam campaign suspended all these projects for now, but we're hearing that just recently they are pushing to restart some dams up north. They will leave alone Myitsone for a time being, but they are trying to build some dam up north. So that's also these new came just recently, and we are very much concerned about all these new, and we are carefully looking at the situation. That's so what the Myitsone Dam campaign is. We started under very difficult circumstances back then. The military regime in our country, and very little space, but using art and kind of try to expand public kind of space for the people to engage. We somehow mobilize the people, and many people kind of participate and support in one way or another. So this is a kind of, as I said before, quite a milestone in the civil society movement in our country. But again, this is not stopped yet. These projects, these are suspended. So now in almost 1 decade, we are trying, mobilizing, raising awareness about all these stuff in several different ways. So after Myitsone Dam suspension, relation with China and Myanmar a little bit a little bit cool down, and so the Chinese investment kind of a little bit reduced in all these years. So geopolitically, Myanmar moved a little bit closer to Western community, and Chinese seems that they kind of they try to look the situation, and they wait for the opportunity. So that what we feel. They after what we feel and what the data indicate that they try not to push hard in terms of investment in our country. But as many of you know, after Myitsone, after some sort of power balancing between China and Western power, we got all these crises, Rohingya crisis in Rakhine State. There's again a huge violence happened, and thousands and thousands of people displaced. So when that happened, then the Myanmar relation with Western country became a little bit problematic. So that where Chinese came in again, and the Chinese support Myanmar from Western pressure, and then Myanmar in time try to give many of kind of concession and business concession to China. So after Myitsone, there's some sort of a little bit slowdown in investment from China, but after that tragedy in Rakhine State, then the investment came in again in a big way. So this time, Chinese investment came under the name of BRI, Belt and Road Initiative, and also in the name of CMEC, China Myanmar Economic Corridor. But the China Myanmar economic government, many business kind of plan are already on the table for a long time. All these extraction, all these kind of access to Indian Ocean, and all these plans are already there for many years. Some implemented, some not yet. But when that BRI came into the picture, everything being legal as PRI, everything legal as CMEC, China Myanmar Economic Corridor Initiative. So all these old content, hydro, including hydro and coal and other extraction and other kind of project that with access to Indian Ocean are repackaged again as a BRI. So this is huge initiative, $1 billion initiative that if that finish, it will integrate China, Myanmar very closely to all these, even to, according to their plan, even to the kind of eastern seaboard. So, but again, we as an environmentalist, we as an activists, always ask who's benefit, who will lose out. What about the ordinary people? What about the people on the street? So these are the questions that we are asking, and we worry a lot about these line in the map, because these line in the map have huge implication for the people on the ground, especially that ethnic people in many peripheral area of Myanmar. So again, this is to show that that pipeline from Rakhine State, that's Indian Ocean, that's go from Rakhine State all the way to China, crossing Myanmar, the gas and oil pipeline. And currently, they are pushing to have a kind of road link from China side to Mandalay and Naypyi Road to the Chaopyu. So gas from this Rakhine State, one of the poorest region in Myanmar, and you will read about all that conflict recently happening, all the violence that happening in that Rakhine State. The gas from this area are more and more penetrate to Chinese western part of the China. So the communities there and all these people in Chinese society more and more depend on the gas from Myanmar, and also more and more investment came into the area, into to China side and to Myanmar side, kind of the petroleum refinery in Kumin area, and all this investment. What I'm trying to say is, these are billion-dollar projects. So when you invest a lot of money, you also need to worry about security. So you follow up with plan how to secure all these infrastructure and how to secure all these investments. And so we, as a very conflict-prone country, ongoing kind of the longest civil war globally, we are very much worried about these sort of the impact on the conflicts, followed by investment, followed by plan to secure these investment. Because again, as I said, all these violence, most violent conflict are happening right now in Rakhine State, and there's a lot of powerful player in that area, including Chinese, including from the Chinese side. But for the local people, not only being the poorest in the country, but also most one of the most I may say the kind of the unsettling area that the people in the area suffered a lot. So this is the business implication to peace. I'm trying to highlight here, because when Chinese talk about China talk about the non-intervention, this is not true. This is just a myth, because when you invest a lot and when you follow up with plan to secure your investment, you are intervening. You are intervening one way or another. So in Myanmar, in many of these resource-rich ethnic area, there's a military, there's a ethnic armed group, there's a militia, there's a local business elite, there's a Chinese business, and also Chinese business. So all these kind of players complicated the conflict. So, and again, what I try to highlight is when we talk about the peace, and Chinese try to talk like BRI will bring peace, but BRI is a commercial primarily commercial project and commercial objective. So what we are seeing is all these commercial kind of imperative commercial objective are detrimental to peace initiative, peace imperative. But the Chinese rule so far is in their effort to secure their commercial interests, they are exacerbating conflict in Myanmar. So this is what we worry so much in our current situation. So that's a 5 pillar that Chinese kind of announced for their BRI project. That there's a lot of question that we have regard to these 5 pillars, like for example, kind of the facilitate connectivity. But to facilitate we facilitate connectivity, but these connectivity and these connections start for who is interest, who going to lose out in these kind of arrangement. And also that when we talk about ethnic people, it is about their culture, it is about their way of life, it is about their community. We cannot damage all these in the name of commercial interests. Again, the interest for whom is the big question in our situation. So, and then we also got a kind of worry about the climate change, because in our country it is very obvious and everywhere that we are suffering a lot from climate change. There's a drought, there's a flood, there's a water shortage issue. So all these kind of plan now on table with another name of BRI and CMEC, China-Myanmar Economic Corridor. It's the it almost certain that many will damage the access for local access of local people to cope in the climate change. In other words, it would destroy resiliency of local community. So that's what we worry in the context of climate change, and also we worry about the because we are now in a pandemic, and just recently the kind of rising case in Myanmar and higher that toll, and we worry about that's federalist farming moving from Chinese side to Myanmar. So this also got huge implication as we understand, because that federal farming is one way that grew kind of the kind of the dangerous virus, and quite worrying if these these are much of these plan are go ahead, which already moving ahead in our country. Another thing that are related to Thailand is there's a because the Thailand and Myanmar share border in many areas at current state. In current state to Chinese, in current state in Thailand and Myanmar border, there's a lot of kind of shady business deal came into that current state, which is border between the border area of Myanmar and Thailand. So the plan is because as many of us know about all these tragedy in Sihanoukville in Cambodia, many of the gambling and other business want to move to that area, to the current state between Thailand and Myanmar. So this, and also the criminal gangs and people with criminal record involved in all these plans. One of the most infamous is Chikoku project in Myawaddy area. So these going to have a huge implication and to not only to Myanmar but also to Thailand, and we also need to look at very carefully to all these investment came in into Thailand Myanmar border in current state. So then just briefly about our political situation, our political leadership to handle all these situation. There's not so much good news in that aspect, because in our own opinion, the transition pretty much stalled. All the elite are in place, or both elected leaders and military leader, they need Chinese backing to hold on to power. So this is sad news for us, that the political leadership that we look forward so much are not in any shape or form to improve the situation of ordinary people. Having said that, this is my last slide. We got a strong civil society in Myanmar. Our people are that civil society, and people are in struggle for many decades now, and even now in many areas, all the civil society movement, big or small, going on, and these that's we can expect that all less fields we got power of people, we got social movement, we got ordinary people initiative to protect our rivers, our natural environments, our livelihood, our culture, and then to preserve heritage for the future generation. So that's I will stop I will stop here, and thanks for listening, and then later on I will try to answer your question. Thanks.
some question for Myint Zaw, but you don't need to answer me. You can hold it, because Myanmar is going to have election on the 8th of November. So you might have. I may want to ask you to link between the politics of the Chinese investment, ethnic politics, peace process, or quite a lot of issue, and the election and the coming election. I mean, Thailand is still struggle. We have not seen the end of the tunnel, but I think in Myanmar situation, and since you already talk about democratic transition that link to the investment, maybe you can hold on. You don't need to answer me now. You can thinking, because we will go to other speaker first. But I would like to I would like to ask you to link between Myanmar election and democracy with the environment investment. Someone saying that, asking Myint Zaw as an ad hoc, but can you answer it now? Does the civil society plan to do anything in linking between elections and politics with the issue of the investment? You can speak to Zoom. Myint Zaw, you have to unmute your microphone.
Okay, so I will try to answer these two questions related to elections. I think the second question about civil society and election is when you look at the election landscape, there's a Burman-dominated party, including current ruling parties NLD and then the USDP, which is kind of a former kind of military linked to military regime. So these two big party, one from former military regime and one current the opposition. The current government, NLD government. These two Burman-dominated parties, and there's several others parties in Burman area. When we look at all these political parties, we are not that excited, quite frankly, because we are giving all these decades of operations and suffering under military rule. We are very unwilling to support USDP, except some candidate there might be good for their areas and all that. So with some exception, we are not excited about that military link party. And also looking at last almost 5 years performance, we are not that excited about ruling party energy that led by Aung San Suu Kyi. So several other small party, they might win some seat, but we're not that sure about how much change that they could bring, and also pretty much of all these smaller parties are similar in discourse about sort of strong nationalism and all that kind of mainstream economy. So, but what we are excited in coming election is ethnic political parties. These small parties from different ethnic area, this time they are really trying hard to gain seats in national parliament and also in the state and regional parliament. So if they came into the scenes, they can. There's a lot of obstacle and limitation on what they can do under the current constitution, but at least they can push to improve the situation in ethnic area. So that this is what we are looking forward to. How much change they could bring, we don't know how much seat they're going to get, but it's all the indication point that in many ethnic party could win. So that's what because when you ask why when you that link to the Chinese and all these investment, there's not much different that development approach from former the previous military regime and NLD government. They both try to close for them to keep in power. They try to close. They try to build a good relation with China. they try to adopt mainstream development agenda, which is kind of the investment heavy, big infrastructure project. And so that's the situation in the political scenes. So these smaller, these ethnic political party, when they came into scenes, they can, we hope that they can change. So what we do as a civil society, many of candidates from that the ethnic political party are from the civil society sector. So we try to give any support that we can give to all these friends, our friends in the ethnic political party candidates. So that's what we are, our situation right now. But now the situation a little bit more complicated because rising cases of COVID-19 and Yangon virtually on lockdown, and many areas are in a lot of restrictions. So how much these ethnic political party can campaign and how much effort they could make, we don't know yet. We have to see that. So that's a question to answer to these two questions related to election in Myanmar.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Any question from floor? Only one, and then we will leave Myint Zaw. We will let Myint Zaw to do his work. Anyone? Only one question. Yes, please. สำหรับท่านที่ฟังอยู่ทางโทรทัศน์Facebook Live นะคะเราสนทนากันเป็นภาษาอังกฤษกันไปพลางๆก่อนนะคะ Yes.
Okay, thank you very much. My name is Daniel Hayward from Chiang Mai University. First, I'd like to say thank you very much for what was a really interesting presentation. I'll admit I don't have a question, but more a comment. And it's more around, it feels to me like sometimes we have to be careful about thinking in terms of some singular organized Chinese investment around the concept of BRI. And I'm not convinced that's actually the reality out there. I think the presentation makes a very good case for central state involvement from the example of the Myitsone Dam and the oil and gas pipeline, and also Chinese involvement in the peace process. But for me, there are various other ways that investment takes place in Myanmar. I've been looking into banana in Kachin state, and this is much more a localized investment practice involving companies through Tengchong International Chamber of Commerce. And it seems to me what you see is investment taking advantage of a history of trade relations between Kachin and Yunnan, and also building upon something like the opium substitution program. So the challenge is that I think there are many different ways that investment takes place, and it's not all coordinated, and it can be chaotic. And in a way, if we think in terms of a Myanmar response, it makes it more difficult to find out how do we make sure investment takes place in responsible terms that potentially could bring economic growth, but also protect the rights of local people and the environment.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, I think we will discuss later, possible next March, when we have the Burma-Myanmar conference in Chiang Mai. So those who listen on the floor, you can prepare yourself to, if the Thai government allow you to travel, we will have another deeply discussion on the Chinese investment in Myanmar on the Burma-Myanmar International Conference. So now, thank you, Myint Zaw. ขอบคุณค่ะ Myint Zaw.
Thank you.
เรากลับมาภาคภาษาไทยนะคะก็สำหรับคนที่อยู่บนเวทีนะคะแล้วก็ต้องขอบคุณคุณแดน
Chiang Mai and Dr. Myint Zaw for the comments. So if we try to link what Myint Zaw says about Chinese investment and large projects, one thing he said was about the political structure, because his issues are clear that Myitsone Dam it's linked through from Kachin to along the Irrawaddy Delta, going through so many ethnic areas. And the situation is that Burma is going to have an election, and there are a number of the discussions going on that right now they've got they're facing a lockdown in Yangon, but the issues will be the ethnic groups and areas. So the next person to speak is Yingcheep, and who is very who has a big role in collecting about 170,000 signatures to submit to the parliament. And but the parliament kind of ignored it, saying that they wanted 45 more days to resolve it. So Yingcheep is going to discuss about the lives, politics, and how they are related. So who have signed the petition? Thank you very much. So I'm very glad to see a lot of friends these days. So our country changed so fast, and every day new things happen. On the 22nd, we submitted the petition, and we discussed the politics and whether they actually accepted what we said. No. But then the 24th, they said no, they admit that they're going to delay it. So there seems to be a new measure. And yesterday, Pheu Thai Party made a different remark again, so I don't know what happens. They could change their mind from one day to another. So in this forum, I'm very glad that there is space to discuss about livelihoods, environment, and politics. And there is a question among our group, which I have heard so many times since the NCPO took power. Many of you have been working in environmental movements, and also the people in the communities who are struggling in their areas against certain issues. So if we're going to fight on both the political issues and environmental issues together, will it be good? But many people say that we need now to stop the power plant construction in the area. We have to. This is a priority. But if we need to go into Bangkok and participate in political protests, then we might lose in our local issues or local struggle. So this is one of the strain of thinking among a lot of people. But other people said that maybe we have to focus on political movement, because this is one way to make life better for all of us. So I'd like to hear what you think today too. So we know that the national strategy, right, that this is something that the NCPO concocted. And I'm not going to call it a national strategy plan, but it's a plan that is drafted by a committee that was appointed by the NCPO, and all the military bigwigs are actually sitting on this committee, and they don't differ that much from the NCPO itself. And the 70 pages long was declared and the same committee actually is the one that decides which is relevant to the plan or not, or related to the plan or not. So basically, this is what they say is a roadmap for Thailand. It's basically the plan to monopolize the policies for the next 20 years. And so at the beginning of the year before COVID, there was some smoke and haze problem. And if you look into the plan, they don't mention this. But then when COVID erupted, of course, it's not in the plan. And then, but COVID actually made the plan out of date. In fact, they paid quite a lot of attention to the environment. Environmental quality is one of the 6 areas involving environment. But actually, so they don't actually pinpoint what environmental problems, no? And whether how is it going to be enforced, they don't know either. So whether this plan is going to be able to protect the environment, you have to go and read it then. But it's only 70 pages and 16 pages involved the environment. So you can take 1 hour, but maybe you fall asleep along the way. And another thing is the special economic zones. In the past many years, we have been struggling against the SEZ in many areas, but you all know that the special economic zones have been actually declared by the head of the NCPO under the Article 44 of the interim constitution. Remember that? So now they came, first they started with a certain number of border provinces and then some more. So nobody knew about it before, nobody, definitely not people in the area themselves. So it sounds good, right? Special economic zone, but if you look in the detail, it's basically an industrial estate. The same kind of industrial estate that they want to impose in the areas. And once after they came out with the SEZ, then they came out with another order to appoint a committee to look after the SEZ. And who chairs that? Prayut himself. And so then another Article 44 order came out to abolish the application of the urban plans in the area. So that's scrapped. And another one came out, another order came out, is saying that the exception is to the application of EIA. So they actually exempt EIA for certain projects or certain areas. And another one came out establishing the Eastern Economic Zone. So, and for sure there have been no consultation. So once somebody filed a complaint at the administrative court, so and the administrative court said they couldn't deal with that because there is Article 44. So that and then when then they made all the Article 44 orders permanent fixture. And here is the nice picture that is in 2017 of people protesting the coal-fired power plant in Tepa district. They were marching to submit a petition to the Prime Minister Prayut himself. So once the Prime Minister, they wanted the Prime Minister to come and receive the petition so that they can go home. But probably Prayut didn't want to meet them, but they actually sent the police to disperse the march. And people were arrested, but all the cases were dismissed by the court later. But at that picture of these soldiers wearing this kind of clothes, we don't know where from, but they basically were successful in stopping the protest and stopping the petition to be submitted to the Prime Minister. So that was the political situation under the NCPO. I just cited these examples. There were other arrests, other stuff. Now that the constitution, the new constitution that is being under the, we are discussing amendment now. This 2017 constitution was actually the draft. Kun Michai was saying that let's make it short. So, so but but when they want to cut to make it short, actually they cut off any the chapter that talks about people's rights and liberties, but they have a long explanation covering how the election is going to be taking place, and also so the constitution to 20 at least they actually dropped this clause on the rights for people to live in a good environment. And also they dropped the rights of people to be consulted on projects. And about the establishment of the independent organization, environmental organization, that was stated in the earlier constitution, but this 2017 actually dropped it. So actually, after so many years of the struggling of trying to get it established, they just dropped it like that. This is the 2017 constitution. So it's shorter, but the details that are actually cover a lot of points in the rights and liberties of the people mostly disappeared. Then do we know that within the 6 years of the NCPO rule, when they pass laws, they set up their own assembly called the National Legislative Assembly, their own assembly, and they passed 464 laws. And in the environmental sector, they actually changed the whole landscape of the environmental laws. Like the Mineral Resource Act, they drafted a new one, and it gives a lot more power to the government authority. And the amendments of the environmental law, there is but in fact it should actually included the orders that came out of the NCPO in the environmental law. Then the National Park Act, when it talks about the rights of people who live in the national parks, it's been scrapped. And then the fisheries act actually is a new act, and all the other acts earlier have been scrapped. But then afterwards, they actually didn't like maybe the law that they drafted themselves, so they evoked that act and then changed again after 2 years. And then it came out also about maritime navigation in the Thai waters or something like that. So we are basically under the national resource governance that is according to the whims of the legislators. This is not to mention other hot issues like the dam on mainstream Mekong, climate crisis, marine garbage. Nothing has been done. Nothing has been done on these issues because they are not their main concern. Their main concerns is focused on their power and control. And they don't care. They don't need to care what the people say. I mean, now that they have been elected, so because they also have actually set up the constitutional court already themselves, So they've got everything set up, the structure set up to maintain their power through the election. And they even changed the calculation, the soft formula in order to ensure that their party has the majority seat. So if this is how they work, why are they going to care about how people are affected by the dams in the Mekong? These are in the 3, 4, 5 provinces along the Mekong River. And what about people who have been affected by the EEC project? It doesn't matter to them because they so what do they have to care? What about? Nothing. So if we want to fight on environmental issues and about political issues, what do we do first? Or do we do it together, and how do we do it? If the environmental movement feels that that in the normal political system it's fair enough, no? And if this prime minister doesn't adopt our policies, and we can kick them out. If you do this, then you'll be part of the political movement. But we have an abnormal situation at the moment where people who holds power do not have to care about what problems people face, and they can do everything without consulting the people. For myself, I believe that in this situation, you cannot just fight on the environmental issues alone. If you can actually ban or stop the coal-fired power plants over here in Tepa district, but then you'll have the SEZ in Jana district. And in this area, there are already people who actually would benefit from the natural resources there. So the things will occur. This investment and these large projects will occur all the time because there are people who are waiting to actually to benefit for it. If they can't get it here, they'll go elsewhere. So if we want to see a political system that actually care about the people's and who actually consult people, so you must know, you can see that you cannot separate the environmental issues and the political issues, and you cannot leave the young people to fight it alone either. Thank you very much. I'm not going to allow people to ask Yingcheep now, but I have one question. In the past, the environmentalists usually separate between the issue of environments and politics and election. They feel that, but there have been debates, and Myint Zaw also mentioned this, because they could see that UNSDP and the NLD do not differ from each other in terms of the environment. So maybe this so maybe you have to think about we're not actually just trying to get achieve democracy, but we want democracy to actually be answerable or accountable to the people. So now I will go to the people who are really live in the Mekong region. Food.
Actually, what he said is just is good. When we said about in the northeastern region situation, we can say that the people that we have here are not enough for him. I get the impression that it's not enough to just fight for environment alone. So we can say that dams in Mekong rivers are destructive and cause the missing of food, and this problem is another thing besides other problems for the Mekong dams. It caused the change on Mekong River, and even the people or the fish themselves are confused. We have like more than 1,000 fish species. This is the result of the compilation of information on the Mekong about the various kind of food that can obtain from the river, and especially for the northeastern region, we can see that there's missing problem of missing food. We get the information from crude tea, and also we can learn about the impact from the Chinese dam, and in Nong Khai, the also problem from Chinese dam is like to my hometown is about 1,500 kilometers, but the impact is clear. And Sayaburi is only about 350 kilometers away. This is the picture that I think can show that the public are aware of the problems, like in Mekong River basins. When there's rain, the level of water will be increased. This is normal situation, and local people along the two sides of the river, they are aware of um, these this phenomena. So the big fish will come in rainy season, small fish will come in dry season, and when there's flood, the flood will go through different areas. People living on Loy River, Moon River, and other rivers, they receive the benefit from Mekong River. So all the impacts that happen in the mainstream Mekong River does not happen only for the impact the people living along the two sides of the banks only. And so the first one, that's the dam, Manwan Dam. So the people still predict about the level of the water, whether what they can plant, during what season, and after the Chinese dam are constructed. So the fluctuation of river cannot be predictable. And this is the picture that can show you that when the water dries out, the fishers, they have knowledge how to catch the fish there, and the vegetation that they plant, what to do. And this one day, so the villagers along the riverbanks, they know various kinds of fish species. This is abundant, and so there's one picture in Ubon. Mr. Song, he could catch the fish. She said who wanted to file the case against Sayaburi Dam. She is the one who raised the hand in order to file the case against Sayaburi Dam. I was surprised to see her raise her hand, and I noticed that she marked down the catch she got, like these days and how many fish she caught and all the savings she had. She has the account and everything she had. She said during like September, October, she could catch this fish and she earned about over 70,000 baht for 1 month. And Sayaburi case was filed many years ago, and so these show that the fishers can live the livelihood on the fish they catch from the river. So you can see this the picture of the fish. This is abundant, but nowadays it's very difficult to catch fish in the river. These are also missing, and so on the Mekong River bank, all of these plants disappear. Usually, the villager they did not have to go to the market to buy anything. So the plants you see, you can see that this is very we call kite, and there's many rapids and many shoals. So sand kite mean the plant that's like abundant of clients in Cambodia. They use these plants as their food, and you can see the roots of these specific plant. These can be the habitat of shrimp and fish spawn area, and also there's also vegetation along the river bank. There's onion, fresh onion, and various vegetables. And you can see these are all the catch crops and the tomato from the factory collapsed after the dams are fully operated. And so we who live in the city, we do not know that the vegetables are grown also around the riverbank, and because of and that come along with the river. So this is the related issue that was raised by Ubon this morning. So besides fish, there's mollusks, and also bird species. So the birds that also lay in this area when there's like fluctuation of water levels or they disappear. So for those who do not live in the Mekong River, not know that these are the things that are eatable, and these birds are migratory birds. The villagers said that they come from China. They eat mollusks in these areas, and so life here is connected. According to the information we compile, we can see the irregularity of the Mekong River level. So around at the end of December of 2013, it was the winter, but all of a sudden, because of the Chinese dam, there's an increasing of the water level. So we can see many of these kind of pictures, but there's no impact assessment. These are the incident not being publicized on the media in July. It is in rainy season in July 2019, and July, August, and September. villagers cannot catch fish because it's the specific season. But the water level is like 3 to 4 meter lower than the normal level. So basically the water dropped 3 or 4 meters suddenly. So this fluctuation in the level of water actually affected a lot of the vegetation along the river, and as well as all they planted the crops that have been planted along. Here's the fish being raised in baskets in the water, and these are the ones that have been damaged by the sudden fluctuation in the water level. So, and there's also erosion because when water flow is fast, then it has really now we have to spend money to try to strengthen the banks of the river. So basically, we had to use our own budget actually to solve the problems that we face from the dams. There's a fish in the baskets being raised. When Sayaburi started generating electricity, that's a year when the water level was low as well, and the river turned blue. Actually, and those fish in the baskets cannot stand the reflection because it makes the heat that is coming from the change in water color. So they lost the fish. This is the top pictures come from the Channel 3 reporter. And actually, this is October. Then, so actually, so these are the kind of wounds that we see in the river when the water goes down. And all the big fish were caught because of the river drying up. This is the public in the public rules, even though it's public river, they have a kind of arrangement about how they can take turns to all share the crops, the fish. Yeah. And actually, the community actually can give concessions to other outsiders as well. No. So these types of management is being affected by the change in the river. And when the river dried up like this, it seems that everyone from other provinces came over to try, and they all try to catch all the big fish that could we see. This is in Loi province. So you can actually driving on the riverbed and that the whole ecosystem have changed. So once the sediments have been removed and it becomes sandy. This is the November 2019 to April this year. They also have freshwater seaweed. this this happens all along the river, and the academics in Ubon Ratchathani saying that this phenomena is going to really make the 69 varieties of fish extinct in the future. And one of these is the one of the variety is actually on the CITES list. But we were trying to collect more information, data on this. So, but of course, there you could be. See, this is where the river turns blue, and then people say may say it's beautiful, but in fact it affects a lot of the ecosystem. And on the right photograph is the gathering of fish, and we didn't know where all the fish came from, but it seems that the fish was trying to look for feed for food. We think that this is not a problem only about the Mekong people, but other restaurants in other areas are going to be affected too, because restaurants actually you can use a lot of fish from the Mekong River, the freshwater fish. So it's not the food security of just the Mekong people. No. So if couldn't now it seems that earlier we talked about energy security and food security, and the two sides are in contention of each other. But right now we don't have any more problem with energy security, because Witoon is going to talk about the oversupply of electricity in the country. These are all the news that actually rely on the freshwater fish from the Mekong River, and they are going to disappear. Thank you. Thank you. So, we'll come back to ask you questions later. But I remember that when we were protesting against the dam in the river, and it caused the enforced disappearance of Thabchumpon. So a number of environmental issues became political, and there are people, environmentalists in our country have been called up for attitude adjustment as well. So now we come to the last speaker, that is Witoon Permpongsacharoen, who will be talking about the political ecology of energy in the Mekong region. Thank you. I'm going to not to answer Yingcheep's question directly, but it should be related. When we talk about liberal democracy, the other side of it is market economy or free market. So in this regard, I feel that the lessons from the struggle against infrastructure development in Thailand, even though it may be in environmental sector, but in fact it was always a struggle against capital, about monopoly investment. So I think that's related to politics. So I'm going to talk about this in the development of the energy sector. And I want to say that actually the green flag actually comes out from local environmental issues. And I am sure that they will all come out on the issue of the constitution as well. What I want to say is that because we start with the Mekong River, so I'm going to talk about dam investment in the Mekong, but because we have limited time, I will not be able to talk about electricity supply or demand in other countries. So I'm going to focus in Laos and Laos, PDR and Thailand alone. As Kun Om said, the damming of the river is not a free gift. It's a trade-off, and it always involves people winning and losing. So what do we have to exchange? What do we have to do in exchange for electricity? I just want to give a little bit of an overview on the issue of whether it's necessary or not, and who wins, who gains, who loses. It's difficult to prove right now because it depends on whether these key actors will agree. There's a belief among the engineers that they can produce electricity up to 50,000 megawatts from the Mekong alone. So Laos thought that they could become the battery of Asia. So the dams projects are going to continue in Laos PDR. They plan for 74 dams. These are bigger ones that are bigger than the bigger ones. The trade-off, this is not my own words, but the Mekong River, the Mekong Council actually has studied the an assessment themselves about what happened if all the dams are allowed to be built. And the conclusion is clear. You can see it looks like there's some kind of digestion system, but this is the Mekong River. From the upper part and the lower bigger part is the Tonle Sap, and then the Mekong Delta at the bottom. Each picture reflects the different options. If you stop building the dams right now, you can see the color will be the red one is a crisis point, right? So if you look at the 2007, this is the leftmost picture, and if they continue to build the dams to 2040, you see the third picture. That is, the delta is going to turn red, and the thick gray lines are the reservoirs of the dams. So the reservoirs are basically connected all along the river. So the Mekong River will the flow will be stopped and kept in reservoirs one after another. So if we cannot stop the dams, this is what's going to happen. and then the conclusions, I want to highlight two conclusions that they made. The study concluded that even Lao PDR itself, if Lao PDR builds all these dams, and it doesn't mean that their GDP is going to be positive. In fact, they're going to make losses from the dams. And it points out that the dams is not just the revenue. They have to pay there are costs the costs have to be paid in agriculture and fisheries that are natural resource based. And the red conclusion, I just want to say that the Mekong Council has asked their member countries to consider different technology for power production instead of building dams, hydropower dams, because there are the renewable energies technologies have developed sufficiently to provide viable alternatives. So this is the most compromising conclusion that they make, but no governments listen to them still. That was the overall picture. Just going down to about July 2 years ago, when we heard that Recipient Sanam Noi broke, actually not the main dam, but it's the what they call the saddle dam broke, bursted because of the heavy rain. And it was a fault of the construction as well. So that caused the flooding below dams in Atapu province and down to Cambodia. The great number of villagers were lost, apart from disappeared, lost. Their livelihoods also destroyed because their land has been dumped with all the muds from the dam. And 6,000 people lost their houses as well as their land. And after 2 years passed, nothing has been done to help them. Go ahead. These are the key actors in Recipient Sanam Noi Dam. On the left side, these are companies that are conducting joint ventures. There's a Korean company and Ratchaburi company from Thailand. And if you look on the right, these are the banks that have been given loans to the project. They're all Thai banks. So you could say Krung Thai, Bank of Ayutthaya, Exim Bank, and Thanachart. And if you look at the bottom row, that's the buyers of the electricity. That is the EGAT. So the people have been affected. They don't know what their future is going to be. But these actors that are involved have no answers for them. The Lao government themselves, they said that they would review the dam, but they still haven't come out with any results. This is the letter that the company wrote in response to the UN agency asking what has been done after 2 years. So it shows that if any country any government thinks that dams could help alleviate their problems or their poverty, you could see that all these sufferings already occurred without any benefit whatsoever to the government. This is the news in Reuters news in the last 2-3 weeks. What is interesting is that the Lao government is now facing a problem of not being able to pay back the loans from international banks. Every year, the government has to pay about 200 million baht, dollars. So they are now going to become, they cannot pay their loans for the first time. And these debts actually come from the investment in dams construction. A professor in University of Tokyo saying that the situation in Laos at the moment is the risks of national sovereignty and being unable to pay back the loans is going to affect the credit rating of the country. And next time you take out the loans, you're going to have to pay higher interests. And this situation is going to affect the ordinary people in Laos. This is what's already happened. You spent the 10 years building dams and you've never actually benefited. And this is what you have to pay instead. And if you look at the electricity that have been produced, basically the dams in Laos produce electricity for Thailand. And this is a graph by EGAT, and it shows the peak demand from January to December. The green line was the last year. So basically, the peak demand is in the hot season, April, May each year. The red line is this year from January. You can see the difference. So the peak demand actually occurred before COVID-19 in April. Then afterwards it dived down. So right now the demand of electricity in the country is actually very much about 2,000 to 3,000 megawatts lower than normal. So 2,000 megawatts is Sayabuli Dam, and so you can see that the electricity demand does not go as they expected, that it would grow exponentially all the time in relation to the GDP. But once the electricity demands go down, that means we have plenty of reserve, because we have not slowed down, or we cannot slow down or stop the power plants operation and construction. So what I want to tell you is what is the driving force. Right now, the capacity for electricity capacity is 50,000 megawatts, but the demand is actually 27,000 megawatts. But I used the figures from the other years, the past years. So right now we've got unused reserve of 19,900 megawatts. So that means that half of the power plants do not need to be running at all. So these are non-performing assets. But we still continue to build more. In October last year, July, October, no, while we have more than 50% reserve, we had Sayaburi, Recipient, Senam Noi, and Namiap joining. So that means the capacity, installed capacity increases. So you can see that the rising reserve, what does it mean? It means you pay more for your electricity. So because all dams have costs, if you take out the loans, you have to pay back the loans, and it needs management. And this is the Power Development Plan of Thailand 2018. This plan lasts until 2580. Uh, 2040 to 2040. That means in this plan, we have to build 50,000 megawatts more, because some will be dismissed, some will be taken out, removed. So that means that within the next 15 to 20 years, according to this plan, we have to build as much, twice as many as the power plants that we have now. So if you look at this graph, this is what we have brought in from Laos PDR in October last year. From each dam, the Recipient, Senam Noi, and you can see that the electricity that is going to come from the Mekong is being planned for every year until 2036, about 700 megawatts every year. So whether you want it or not, it will still come in. This is according to the plan. So this shows that who are the investors in which dam project. These are IPP, that means it's the Laos dam usually includes three parties. The construction company like Italian Thai or Chokan Chang who gets a concession. And then the second type is the electricity company. There are only two main ones. That is the subsidiary of Gofopo, Eco and Ratchaburi. And then the Lao counterpart investment. If you look at all the projects that have been approved with loans from Thai banks, altogether 7.6 billion US dollars. This is not small stuff. So the fact that Thai private banks are able to give out loans for the 25 years to about 10 investors, that's a very good business, right? Instead of giving loans to people buying houses. Right? And what's important is that the ones who pay to pay is EGAT. EGAT is going to pay through these banks. So you can see there's a few actors here, the companies that do the investment, the banks. Among these investors that are called IPP, private producers, it is IGAT is a single buyer among them. So that means IGAT has to ensure that they don't suffer risks. So even though there is no need, no demand for electricity, you don't have to worry. You will get your income so that you can pay back the loans. This is what this is the transaction under the monopoly system, the monopoly of the concessions giver as well as the buyers. So if you need to know which bank has what projects, these are all the commercial banks in Thailand. So this is the phenomenon of neoliberalism, because earlier when you want to build dams, it's a government that build dams and they get a loan from international financial institutions. But now the World Bank doesn't give out any more loans to governments. They want to push for public-private partnership. So so it's not the problem with this electricity generation is that it's not out in the market to get altogether. It's still under the state monopolized business and transactions. IGAT still control all the distribution of electricity. Nobody can compete with them. In the case of the construction company Chawkan a Thai company, last year they made a loss because of the problem with water in the two dam projects. But this year they declare, they make a statement to the press that there will be no problem with water anymore. They're going to make profits this year. And they say that COVID pandemic is not affecting them at all. And the reason why they're not affected by COVID at all is because IGAT has to buy the electricity no matter whether it's needed or not. You cannot cite the COVID as a problem for not buying electricity. Apart from this, there are new projects. That is the Luang Prabang Dam is going to be signed for sure within this year. So this construction company telling us, what do they tell us? They tell us that IGAT has signed a contract while there is almost 60% oversupply of electricity in Thailand. So that was the Chawkan construction company that actually built the Sayabuli Dam. This is ECO, which is a subsidiary of IGAT. ECO actually was wholly owned by IGAT, but now they own only 25%. The another 25% is owned by a Japanese company, Mitsubishi plus TEPCO, that ran the problematic nuclear power plant. Once now, if ECO is not wholly owned by IGAT, but ECO still maintain its privileges. These are the committee, the board members of ECO. You might know some of the names.
ผมอยากจะยกตัวอย่าง2ท่านนะฮะให้เห็นว่ากรรมการของ ECO เป็นใครแล้วทำไม จึงต้องยกขึ้นมานะครับ
I just want
ค
to
นแรก
point
นะครับ
out that
ที่มีคุณสมบัติที่
the first person
นั้นนะเขาเป็นปลัดกระทรวง
is the permanent secretary of
เขา
energy
เป็นประธาน
currently.
บอร์ดของกฟผ
Is
แล้วเขา
chair
ก็เป็นป
of
ระธานบอร์
the
ดของ
IGAD board and also
กฟผ
chair
ก็
of
คือผู้สัญ
ECO
ญาของ
board.
ECO คือบริษัทแม่ ECO
So ECO
สาย
is
บริต้องขาย
supposed.
ไปให้กับกฟผนะคนเดียวใส่หมวก
So one person holding how many hats?
กระโดดไปโดดมาก็เป็นอย่างนี้อีกขั้นหนึ่งคือ
The other one
อำนวยการ
is the director,
ถ้าเราดูคุณสมบัติของเขาข้างหน้า
managing director of ECO.
เป็นรอง
He comes from
ผู้ว่า
IGAD.
กฟผ
He was deputy governor
เราจะ
of
พบว่า
IGAD.
อันนี่คือสิ่งซึ่ง
This is
ผมก็อยากฝากฝ่ายการเมือง
I just want to the
คือ
the
มันเป็นประเด็น
political
ที่ดำรง
sector
ใน
to take
รัฐ
note,
วิสาหกิจใหญ่ๆ
and
โครงสร้าง
these are something we are concerned
ถ้าว่าไป
about
แล้ว
in
ไม่ว่าจะเป็นรัฐบาล
state-owned
ไหนนะ
enterprises.
จะเป็นรัฐบาล
And
มา
so
จาก
no
เลือกตั้ง
matter
ไม่
what
เลือกตั้ง
government
ผมก็บอกว่า
is in
นะครับ
things will remain the same
ภาพต่อไปครับ
because of these state-owned
อันนี้อาจจะทำให้ท่าน
enterprises
ถึงบางอ้อ
and
นะครับว่า
the
ทำไม
boards.
คนเหล่านี้จึงอยากจะมาเป็นบอร์ดของบริษัท
Why do these
แล้วก็
people
อยาก
want
จะ
to become
ชี้ให้ท่านเห็น
to
ว่า
be a board
ถ้าเขาต้อง
member
เลือก
of a
ระหว่างไปประ
company?
ชุมบริษัทกับไปประชุม
If they have to
กระทรวง
change
เขา เขาจะไปที่
between
ไหน
going to a
เพราะ
board
ว่า
meeting of the
นี่คือ
company
รายได้
or
ใน
going
ใน
to
ห
a
นึ่ง
meeting
ปี
at the
นะบริษัท
ministry.
เอโก้ให้กับกรรมการ
These
บริษัท
are
เขาเนี่ย
the
2,700,000
income
บาทนะที่กรรมการแต่ละท่านจะ
to
ได้ที่หนึ่ง
each one gets 2.7 million baht a year,
นะ
each
จึง
of
ไม่
the
น่า
board
แปลกเลยครับ
members.
ว่าเวลาเราไปดู
So
ว่า
it's not surprising, right,
ที่หน่วยงาน
that
ต้นสังกัดเขามาเข้า
when
ประชุมเข้าประชุม
and
ไหนบ้าง
which meeting they're going to choose to go
เพราะ
to.
ฉะนั้นเนี่ยสิ่งต่างๆเหล่านี้ก็เหมือนกันอันนี้การเมืองในความเห็นเรานี่
This
คือ
is
การเมือง
in
นะครับ
my
การเมือง
view,
ที่
this
ท่าน
is
อื่นเอื้อมไป
politics,
ไม่ถึง
and
การเมืองที่รัฐ
politics
สภายังเอื้อมไป
that
ไม่ถึง
that actually is beyond the parliament.
คนอดอยากมันทำให้คน
But it's actually have a great deal of impact, adverse
อยาก
impact.
จะยึด
It
เก้าอี้อันนี้เอาไว้นะครับ
it makes people
แล้วก็
want
เขา
to.
ก็สามารถที่จะเอา
It
คน
wants
นะ
it makes people want to hold on to
เพื่อสร้าง
their
ภาพนะ
positions.
อันนี้ผมคิดว่าสถาบันมหาวิทยาลัยก็มักจะถูกซื้อด้วยเรื่องแบบนี้
Actually, the universities are bought
คนคงแปลก
as
ใจ
well.
ว่าในเมื่อกฟผเนี่ยมีไฟฟ้าเหลือนะฮะแล้วก็ยังเซ็นสัญญาเพิ่มขึ้นไปเรื่อยๆซื้อไฟจากลาวเพิ่มขึ้นเรื่อยๆเนี่ย
Why
เขาจะ
does
เอาไปทำอะไรแล้วเขาจะแก้ปัญหา
what will
ยังไง
IGAD do with the extra supply of electricity that they are receiving, continuing to buy from Laos?
ก็คือจะเปลี่ยนประเทศไทยเป็นฮับ
They said they
ทางด้าน
want
ไฟ
to
ฟ้าของภูมิภาค
turn Thailand into an electricity
จริง
hub
ๆมันมี
of
สิ่งที่เรียกว่า
Asia.
โครงการของ ADB ที่เรียกว่า regional grid ก็คือ
There's
ว่า
an
จะ
issue
ต่อสาย
supported
ส่ง
by the
เชื่อมกันทุกประ
ADB
เทศ
called the
ในภู
regional
มิภาค
grid.
ครับ
That's
สามารถ
how
เอาไฟไปที่ไหนก็ได้
the
นะเขาได้
electricity
ทำ
can
ตัว
be
อย่างว่าเขา
distributed
สามารถเอาไฟจาก
anywhere in the
ลาว
region.
ไปขายให้มา
You can actually bring Lao electricity to sell to Malaysia
100
going through
แต่
Thailand.
จริงๆเบื้องหลังอันนั้นก็คือว่าเนื่องจากว่าเมกะเฟิร์สเนี่ยคือผู้ที่สร้างไอโครงการ
But in fact
เนี่ยมันคือมาเล
Malaysia has invested in Don
ล็อบ
Sahong.
บี้มาเลมาซื้อไฟอันนี้แต่ว่าคำถามคือว่าในเมื่อกฟผเองเนี่ยบอกว่าจะต้องสร้างโรงไฟฟ้าที่ภาคใต้ของประเทศไทย2 โรง
But
เพราะว่าไม่
IGAD
มี
also says that they need
แล้ว
to
ทำไม
build
ถึงสามารถส่ง
two
ไฟไป
power
ขาย
plants in the south
ให้มาเลเซียได้
because
นะ
there
นั่น
is
ก็
not
เป็น
enough
คำถามที่ไม่ได้ถูก
capacity
ตั้ง
there.
เหมื
But
อนกัน
why
ในเวลา
do they want to
เรีย
sell
กว่า
electricity
ทำไม
to
ต้องสร้างโรงไฟฟ้า
Malaysia?
ที่ภาคใต้ขอภาพต่อไปนะครับอันนี้คือข่าวที่กฟผ
This is
แถลงในปัจจุบันเนี่ยนะ
News that the
บอกว่า
announced
เขากำลั
by
งจะขายไฟให้พม่า
IGAD on 17th of September this year.
นะ
They said they are going to sell the
เราจะเห็นว่า
Cambodia and
บอ
Myanmar
กว่าฉันจะซื้อมา
500
แล้ว
megawatts
ก็ฉันจะเอาไฟ
of
ฟ้าสำรองฉัน
electricity.
ก็ไปขายด้วย
So
แต่เจ้าของตลาดที่จะไปขายก็คือ
they
พม่าลาวพม่ากับกัมพูชาก็ลองคิดกันดูนะครับว่า
so they're selling
แล้วจิกยังไงแต่ว่าสิ่งที่ผมอยากจะ บอกเราก็คือว่า
What I just want to
การที่ก
tell
ฟผ
you is that
ซึ่ง
the
เป็น
fact
ผู้
that
มีระบบผูกขาดในการ
IGAT,
ขายไฟให้กับ
which is a
ผู้
monopoly
บริโภคเนี่ย
in
ปัจจุบัน
selling
ก
us
ฟผ
electricity,
เนี่ยนะฮะถึงแม้ว่าจะมีไฟ
all
ขาย
of
เนี่ย
us,
แต่กฟผเนี่ยก็ไม่เคยเจ๊งนะ
even though they have oversupply of energy or power, they're never going to face bankruptcy. And they even come out to announce that because of COVID-19, the executives is going to reduce their salaries for how many months. So basically, the system of IGAT is called cost plus. So they said there's 8% profit because they can actually push all the costs to the consumers. So, but apart from selling electricity in the country, they are selling to other countries as well. So that means that you are actually, if you go bankrupt, then we have to pay higher price for electricity. And actually, it has happened already. The fact that IGAT cannot build 2 coal-fired power plants in the south, but they have already invested in signing an agreement to import the coal from Indonesia. So that means the cost of that coal is now being included in our electricity bill. But now they're going to go to build another coal-fired power plant in Vietnam instead. While Vietnam is actually being questioned quite a lot about their coal-fired electricity because they are using a lot of coal. So there is no political regulation or control over this type of deals that the state enterprises make. So this is something called state capture. The state capture is what I've been explaining to you. It just means that under neoliberalism, the companies have more influence than the state, and it actually control the state operation.
Thank you very much, Kun Witoon. Sorry that I have to send you a message about the time. I thought there will be another forum, so now I will allow people here to, and also those who are at home and watch this program through Thai PBS to raise questions. You can ask questions in both in Thai and in English. But you may not ask the questions in Tagalog or Myanmar language.
I think it's a very interesting topic, and we're talking about the energies and their relation to development. And I feel like the panels is very sensitive to the energy issue, especially in the Mekong region. So my question is, if you were the government, so what alternative energy are you going to use? And what alternative energy will be the most effective for the region? Because we know that energy is key to development.
โอเคค่ะ อันนี้ขอเก็บไว้ก่อนค่ะ อันนี้ก็คำถามของคุณแจ็คกี้นะคะซอมินบุญนะคะ
So this is the questions raised by a student
from one of the curriculum here in Thailand, and so the question is probably to Witoon about what will you do if you the government in terms of the energy policy.
สวัสดีค่ะปิยพรจากบางกอกทริบูนนะคะค่ะวันนี้ขออนุญาตมาฟังพี่วิทูลแล้วก็น้องจากทางILawค่ะเพราะเกี่ยวข้องกับเรื่องการเงินด้วยนะคะคำถามที่อยากจะถามพี่วิทูลทิ้งท้ายไว้เรื่องของการที่ทุนใช่ไหมคะทุนข้ามพรมแดนประเด็นที่เราคุยกันเนี่ยค่ะมีอำนาจเหนือรัฐในตอนนี้แล้วก็รวมถึงอาจจะเป็นถึงกลไกของรัฐในระดับภูมิภาคด้วยค่ะทีนี้ก็อยากจะถามเป็นทางออกหรือโซลูชันที่จะต้องยังดีลต่อไปค่ะแล้วถ้าอย่างนี้เนี่ยพี่ทูลคิดว่าสิ่งที่จะดีลกับมันได้ในระดับที่เหนือขึ้นไปจากกลไกรัฐที่มีทั้งในระดับในประเทศเองก็ตามมีภูมิภาคเนี่ยมันควรจะเป็นอะไรค่ะขอบคุณมากค่ะ
regional and national mechanism มีอีกไหมคะสัก3 คำถามแล้วเดี๋ยวจะให้ผู้พูดตอบค่ะอีกสักหนึ่งนะคะความจริงเรามีผู้ฟังเป็นคนลาวด้วยนะคะเราพูดเรื่องเขื่อนในลาวก็หลายอันนะเขื่อนในพม่ามีไหมคะมีคำถามอื่นไหมคะถ้าไม่มีนะคะก็เดี๋ยวอาจจะให้คุณวิทูลตอบก่อนนะคะอย่างน้อยที่สุด2 คำถามนี่ก็แบบเป็นคุณวิทูลโดยตรงนะคะ
Maybe respond to your first. When you're talking about the alternative, looking at the fuel, right? Coal or gas or nuclear or renewable energy. But what I'm trying to explain to you is actually it's not only what fuel is the alternative, but you have to looking at the whole system, right? And in this case, I would say to you that I can give you an example of the country like Australia. Australia now they have installed capacity almost the same as Thailand, 50,000 megawatt. And their economy, the GDP grows almost 1-2% like Thailand. But they don't need to develop further install capacity because they're focusing on what they call the energy efficiency, how to improve the energy demand, which is the plenty of potential. All the developed country, you can say, their main PDP is focusing on how can you getting more energy from the system by reducing or improving demand. Right? So for Thailand, the situation at the moment, I would say to you that we have studied and we recommend that the reserve margin that we have now, we can use this for almost 10-15 years, and this during 10-15 years we don't need to build anything anymore, right? And then if we invest on energy efficiency and renewable energy, that we have a lot of potential for solar, and now the prices are very cheap. So that is what I would say. I don't want to just say, oh, renewable, and that's it. We need to improve the system. We need to control all of the driver, right? If the driver who benefit from building new capacity, new dam, if we cannot stop them, no matter you're talking about the alternative fuel, right? That's it, what I would say. โอเคผมตอบคำถามก้อยคือถ้าพูดไปแล้วเนี่ยผมอยากจะบอกว่าหลายครั้งเนี่ยเราถกเถียงกันเนี่ยด้วยเรื่องว่ากฎหมายจะต้องมีกฎหมายอะไรที่จะเข้ามาควบคุมนะแต่ผมอยากจะบอกว่าเวลาเราดีลกับฟรีมาร์เก็ตหรือว่า neoliberalism เนี่ย
นะภายใต้การเมืองแบบเราๆเนี่ยนะฮะที่ผมเรียกว่า state capture เนี่ยกฎหมายมันไม่มีความหมายหรอกนะฮะมันคุมไม่ได้หรอกที่คุณจะไปทำให้คนซึ่งเขาอ้างว่าเขาเป็นตัวแทนรัฐเขามาอยู่ในองค์กรนี้เพื่อที่จะมาปกป้องผลประโยชน์ของสาธารณะเขาพูดว่าอย่างนั้นน่ะใช่ไหมเพราะฉะนั้นเราจะพบว่าคือคอนเซปต์ของรัฐที่เป็นเรื่อง security เรื่อง centralization เรื่องของอะไรคุณจะต้องมีคนไปควบคุมระบบเนี่ยมันไปไม่ทันนะไอระบบตลาดนะแล้วเม็ดเงินในขณะนี้มันใหญ่มากนะผมพูดตรงๆแม้แต่เวลาเราพูดเรื่อง corruption ระดับ100 ล้านเนี่ยกับไอเซกเตอร์ที่เป็น energy นะมันจิ๊บจ้อยมากอะรายได้ของปตทของกฟผวันหนึ่งเนี่ย1 สตางค์ของกฟผนั่นมันคือ200 ล้านใน1 ปีนะ1 สตางค์ต่อ1 ยูนิตเวลาเขาขึ้นค่าไฟ1 สตางค์ต่อ1 ยูนิตรู้สึกไหมคุณไม่รู้สึกแต่ว่านั่นคือเม็ดเงิน200 ล้านที่เขาได้ใน1 ปีนะคุณคิดดูเพราะฉะนั้นคอนเซปต์เรื่องคอร์รัปชันคอนเซปต์เรื่องอะไรมันไม่ได้ผลนะฮะผมจึงอยากจะบอกว่าเรื่องเหล่านี้เนี่ยผมคิดว่าถ้าตราบใดที่มันยังรวมศูนย์นะฮะมันแก้ยากแล้วก็พูดตรงๆนะผมว่าเนี่ยประเด็นอย่างประเด็นเรื่องที่เถียงกันเรื่องไอ้แก๊ส
issues that we about concessions, they are not actually the issues.
ประเด็นถ้าคุณเชื่อว่าระบบมันดีได้ระบบมันนั่นได้เนี่ย
If
มัน
you
เป็นเรื่องของ good governance มันเป็นเรื่องของ
people usually say that good governance is what is needed and or corporate governance, but I don't think I don't really believe that.
ผมใช้คำว่า
I think is a kind of disruptive technology that is happening in the energy sector. We find that IGAT now is not the only boss. There are independent power producers and like even a rooftop solar cells is a pro-consumer kind of alternatives. But it's more than that. In the industries, they are now aiming to generate their own electricity at a cheaper cost. So they the peak production capacity or whatever, they have to. These independent producers are producing electricity for their own use. It's going to grow, and the new technologies are kind of decentralized by its own nature, like mobile phones and whatnot. So, if in the future we can actually destroy this monopoly system, I think the options will explode, meaning it will expand rapidly because you can actually produce your own electricity within your hospital, within your so and so. That will be the answer. Thank you, Kun Witoon. I was thinking that when I was studying in the UK, there was also competition between different electricity producers, and with competition, it can reduce the price. But the EGAT doesn't like that system. The very related issue is that the grid is like a freeway.
and you can use your own car to run on the freeway. But for this type of freeway that is owned by IGAT, they said, no, you can't drive on it yourself. You have to offload your goods onto IGAT truck so that they can use the freeway. So what we want is a third-party access. That's what we need, because so you can have to allow people to actually join in with the supply. And you can actually trying to sell this electricity if you saying that it comes from renewable energy. All this type of competition is not going to happen if IGAT monopolize the whole system as well as the grids. So this is basically the issue of the law. If we change the law that allows the gas pipeline is actually now happening now because PTT is in the the stock market. So with the gas pipelines, that is it's basically a public assets. So they have to return these pipelines. But finally, they agreed to allow third-party access on their pipelines. So that's the issue of structure of the law about the infrastructures in Thailand, and it's linked to all kinds of issues. So listening to Witoon, decentralization of electricity. There's also a course on decentralization of electricity, because it's basically this is the politics of the distribution, the production and distribution of electricity, which is linked to the environment, because depending on the source of energy. So these are the issues that could be put into the politics field. So for choosing political parties, actually we are still not actually paying that much attention to the policies of the political parties. My questions would be the technical issue. I'm monitoring about the energy issue. Reserve margin in Thailand is quite high, and also it's related to the expense of the use of electricity. Although we do not use the electricity, but we still have to pay for the cost. So there's a recommendation to change the concession of the power concession. So because nowadays the investor do not have any risk of the investment. So if we collect this point and correct the concession aspect, then is it possible to change it? This point can be made right away by the regulator, but ICAT doesn't want to do anything. At present, according to the policy, we have the policy that we should have 15% of energy reserve. So the reserve that is more than that should not, the consumer should not pay for that. But nowadays we have to pay for the availability reserve. Although there are power plants that do not operate. They say they are ready to operate the power plant, but
And for these power plants, the power plants are paid by EGAT for their readiness to operate. Well, what does it mean? It means it's like when you buy a car and you have to pay installment to the leasing company because there's only one energy company. So the availability payment is the guarantee that if you don't buy my energy, you still have to pay for it. Nowadays, all the power plants that produce 50,000 megawatt, even though they don't operate, they get the availability payment. So this is about the reserve, like 15%. So if the reserve margin is increased, ICAT will have to change their PPP in order not to pay for the reserve that beyond 15%. And for the PPP, PDP, the PPP, the banks who give the loan are the ones who set the conditions in all the contracts. So they need to have guarantee for the repayment, for the payment or for the banks. I forget one point. So this is the recommendation that if there are more than one energy seller, more than one entity which is AGAT, and so if the power user said that they will pay only 15% energy reserve, not more than that, this can be campaign that is different from the from the like the end of the unlocked the senators. But in fact, the ICAT has many subsidiaries, like over 100 of them at present. Forgot again. Any more questions? Okay. I get it now. The deputy prime minister, and he said that in order not to have the high energy reserve, so it should the all power plants should be decommissioned. So when you have contract with the power plants, you have to pay them then. It's like when you have to pay for the officers, the civil servants that are early retired. So if the plan in building dams in Laos still continue, now they come up with the proposal to decommission the power plant, and the question is who have the power to do so, and which power plants have to be decommissioned. So now this is a big deal. Then why this lead to the point why people want to become the Minister of Energy ministry. So even if you decommission the power points, you have to pay them. At present, the PPA contract that lasts 25 years in ICAT lecture, it is out. There's an outstanding debt. So everyone here has to be indebted because ICAT can that is why ICAT cannot register in the stock exchange, because it's got this liabilities, these huge liabilities. So any other question apart from energy? About the democracy and environment. If the government has good public policies on electricity, then I just like to ask. So if you have three mechanisms in democracy, the judicial, legislation, and administrative, you feel, so I want to know, so how can democracy actually protect our public interest in the environmental issues? As Myint says that when the NLD came into power, people saw no change in the policies concerning the environment. They would continue with all the building and infrastructure and investments. So for sure, we have no guarantee that an elected government, whether it's a future so we cannot guarantee that whoever is elected, whichever government is elected, will actually look after the environment. But at least if we have the plans that we have environmental law that is strengthened, even like and Yingcheep said that the Fisheries Act actually had to be changed 3 or 4 times because the government was pressured by the civil society in Europe and the European Council because they want to ensure that the fisheries is done in a free and fair. That time, after in Myanmar, after the reform, the NLD announced that they would take up the issues of environment. So the question we have to ask in Thailand is that whether this government, whether the government cares about the people's voice. So there is, if we define democracy as the demonopolization process, so energy democracy would be the demonopolization of the process, the energy production and distribution process and policies. So what we have, the problem in Thailand is that we have monopolization both in the economy, energy, and all sectors. This is my opinion, but Witoon and Yingcheep may have other. I have a bit of different opinion. If we think that no monopolist is the way out, then the business sector will say yes. So I don't want to use the word demonopolize. I want to use the word decentralize. And in my meaning is that is decentralization of power to the local areas, and it's not the way the Ministry of Interior is conducting it. But that means that you reduce the central power. You allow the you allow the local areas to come out with their own policies. For example, community forests doesn't need to be under the centralized control. We put a lot of things, issues under the politics and under the parliamentarian system. We actually have two powerful sectors, that is the technocrats and politicians. In terms of the environment, and then the technocrats are actually more powerful, and they actually manipulate the political powers. No. I could say that, and you feel that maybe people who are actually, you feel in different political parties, and but in fact they actually see eye to eye in terms of how they can gain benefits from together and sharing, and actually relying on technocrats to give them what they need, what they want. I don't believe that the Pak Gao Kai is going to change their way. Forward something. Gao Kai. Because if we talk about democracy, they don't pay attention to this issue. I may be an anarchist in this regard because we feel that the answer is give the power to the people. At least they should be able to look after their own resources. We have another question from the floor. Sir Josephine. And after that, we have 15 minutes more for the speakers to answer.
So, sir, if you're advocating for decentralization process, it's good. Yeah, but there is a problem with regards to elite capture. There are strong manifestations of elite capture if you want to pursue decentralization, especially in the Philippines. That's the case in the Philippines. Sir, how would you hinder that? How would you hinder elite capture if you want to pursue decentralization in the field of energy sector?
Maybe I will not allow you to answer because now it's changing from foreign direct investment of large scale and the link to politics. But at least we keep that. I mean, because this is a big debate that it's okay to talk about decentralization, but decentralization of energy is also not only in terms of concept, right? It's also in terms of the technology. But now we have only 15 minutes left, so I will ask the speaker on the panel to speak as their conclusion for maybe 3 minutes each. เริ่มโดยคุณยิ่งชีพนะคะก็แต่ยังไม่ให้เถียงนะคะให้ไปเถียงเพราะว่าทีหลังนะคะเรื่อง energy แต่ตอนนี้ก็คือเรากลับมาเวทีใหญ่ของเรานะคะก็คือว่าการลงทุนขนาดใหญ่
So now this is about the big investment and the link to politics, and I think we are deceived to debate on this kind of issues. The problem is not what the Move Forward Party เพื่อไทย are proposing, and the point is Thailand has never discussed about this point in the parliament because we are having the problems with the politics. We are still debating about why do we have 250 senators, appointed senators, because there are someone who try to protect the thing that cannot be called principle. If if it can be solved, then the parliament will be able to discuss about energy, about other things. And if we think that move forward party is so dumb, is so stupid, we do not have to vote for this party, and we vote for other party that is smarter. But this does not happen since this had not happened since we have Thailand in for a long time. So there's problem with the food, and during the struggle, the villagers they submitted the petition to various government, to Prime Minister Yingluck and to all the prime ministers, and they did not get any response. So there's two questions about who is Chokan Chang company, on which party this company side on. So in fact, Chokan Chang is taking side with all the parties. And how about the Prime Minister and the Deputy Prime Minister? They are. The question is whether they are still on the board of Chokan Chang company. So this is the problems. If the issue is about the management of the problems raised by the villagers in Mekong River. So whether you ask the Foreign Affairs Ministry to work on this. So when I participated in the conference with the Laotians and with the Cambodians, they said, why did you want to complain about this when the investors are Thais? The investment was from Thailand, so how could I respond? And so the problem is not only fish, but we want to disseminate information about the expensive cost of electricity and missing food. And personally, I'm a committee member of the protection of the energy user of the EGAT. In fact, they sold electricity to the villagers. So the villagers have the right to complain about the problem they face. But see, so as the Thai people, we don't have fish to eat, and then when we have problems with the electricity generation and generating, so I think these are the points that we have to raise awareness among the public here. I also would like to provide moral support to the younger generation. We are adults and we have to work and to fight for these problems as well. I would like to leave one point here on the case of Mekong River. What I am concerned about is about the geopolitics. Like we are in between of China and U.S. Power, where they use the South China Sea as the issue. Mekong River is the issue that is raised to be discussed for those who work on these kind of issues. And we are just like the small glass we are used by other by various parties, and I'm not so sure if there's any party or anyone that really care about the villagers. I think we have to be smart. We have to know more and also know more, and also be able to make use of some things. Usually, the Thai government is on the opposite side of the villagers in this geopolitics aspect. I remember that when there was a big conference, we approached the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. He was elected. But when I was about to talk about China, and he said, and that I made a call just now to talk with China, with Chinese embassy and something, and I was about to try to give information to him, but he was defending China instead. So this is the reality. I think the Thai state within this geopolitics, the government will not take side with the villagers or with the people. They will take side with the two powers. So this is the issue left by Kun Witoon. We still have 4 minutes. I would like to make a summary here. We started with the foreign direct. We start with the theme that the foreign investment in the destructive projects, and so what the panelists were talking is about investment cannot be apart from politics or regional politics, taking into account of dams in different countries, like in Myanmar, the dams there also is related to China. The form of large-scale investment by the superpowers from abroad cost impact to the various countries. What we are talking about now is about the resistance of the civil society, like the civil society in Myanmar, and also civil society here in Thailand that demand for election. Civil society that works on the push for food in Mekong River. I think we need more people to help support this civil society. When we in Laos case, and civil society that face problems even more than us. And so another thing is that we are facing the superpower that have more power than the government. So for this panel, we still don't have the conclusion yet. And we still have more sessions tomorrow. And because this event is the event and the panel about environment in this region, and environment cannot be separated from politics, and politics is not only the domestic politics in the country, but also the politics abroad, and the politics that involve the people. So finally, there's no ready-made answer. We have questions. It's up to our task. It's up to you who will have conduct your own task. Work on longer, and so please give a round of applause to the panelists. Thank you, Kun Yingcheep, Kun Ormbun, and Kun Witoon, please do not forget to support them in all